Hello, Rachel Johnson here, and welcome to another edition of Ask Cascadia Live. Today we're going to be answering a few questions about listings, things talking about shipments. We're going to be talking a little bit about launching products, and we're going to be talking about any questions that you have today. Okay, if you are having questions as we come up about selling on Amazon, please pop those right into the comments section, okay, right below, and we'll answer them as we go along. If you are watching the replay, please type replay and then post your question, and then we'll know to go in and answer those post the live session, okay? All right, so the first question that we have here is, I have two listings that have magically become blocked or inactive. We made no changes to cause this. When I go to the inactive status, it says the items must be sold via FBA and has a link to change to FBA. These items have been FBA for years. There is stock in the FBA warehouse. Any idea on how to fix this? Okay, so just so everyone is aware, good morning, everyone. Everyone's so cheery. I don't know if you'd be quite so cheery if you're on the West Coast. For any West Coasters, if you're cheery right now, good on you. So as far as FBA or Amazon doing weird things and saying that you need to be on FBA when you already are on FBA, one of the things that you guys should know is that on a regular basis, Amazon makes changes to the catalog and makes changes to systems, and their methodology of figuring out what goes wrong is to see who squawks. I am not kidding. This is a real thing. It's the way that Amazon launches pretty much all new software within the company. It's not intended to be a giant pain in the butt for sellers, but it becomes that because what happens is somebody internally makes a change, or they're not sure what a service does, or they can see that there's this particular tool that's been around for 8 years and they don't know what it does, they don't know who looks at it, and so they just turn it off. And then they see who starts filing tickets, because then they can see what's actually going on. So what happens is the average tenure at Amazon, at least the last time that it was published that I know of, is about 20 months. And to do a new software application takes anywhere between 6 to 12 months, sometimes longer, depending on how complex it is. So you can imagine that people who worked on older applications or older systems are just no longer at the company. They're not there anymore. You sometimes have some old timers who actually know what's going on, but that's not that common. What ends up happening with really old systems like the catalog, which was built 20 years ago, so I can promise you there are very few people still at the company who were even there when it was built, much less know how it was built. What happens with the catalog is they go back and they review all that old code. They're not sure what a lot of it does. They're not sure what a lot of it impacts. And so they're like, well, we can make these changes and let's hope it works. And so they'll make changes, and then it breaks a lot of things in a cascade effect heading downhill, right? So there's just a lot of kind of randomness that happens just because of how high the turnover is at Amazon and the fact that they don't document anything. Everyone's moving so fast, you just don't document why or how something was written as it was, and so there's no longer documentation. The new people have to literally read the code to figure out what's going on. So if you have something where the listings magically became blocked or inactive, you're going to have to work with seller support to try to get that pushed through. And often seller support doesn't know what's going on either from a average worker point of view. So you don't want to just file a ticket. You actually want to call them and then ask to be transferred to a captive associate. So if there's something where you've already filed a ticket, you've already tried to get it resolved and nothing about it makes sense, don't even bother with more tickets. Don't try to fix it on your own. Just call Amazon, try to get transferred to a captive associate and ask for their help. The captive associates are the ones who have actually been there for a long time, who have been trained in how to fix problems. And at the very worst, they can file the ticket to the right team. They're also trained in how to file the correct tickets. So if something happens with catalog, they know which catalog team to send it to troubleshoot, okay? So that's my suggestion there. There's no obvious answer when Amazon does something like this, where it's clearly at FBA. There's nothing wrong with it. The other thing that you can do, if you want to, but that's a little bit more annoying, is you can actually create a new listing and contact Amazon to move the stranded inventory to the new listing on the same ASIN. Now they can do that as long as it's the same ASIN. They can just transfer it over to the new owner, the new FNSKU owner. But that still requires contacting Amazon, and you may just be better off just calling them and trying to fix the existing SKU. Okay? I know that's not the answer that most people want to hear, but sometimes you can't fix things with Amazon. Sometimes you just have to go for it and hope for the best. Okay, second question. Imagine I'm selling a sandwich on Amazon. Can I include a packet of mustard, think food truck or ballpark, if it doesn't have a nutrition label and barcode? Yes. Okay, that's the short answer. Long answer is that Amazon doesn't currently do any evaluation of product labeling or packaging for this kind of purpose. So they have the ability to give you options to label your items for CPSIA compliance. That's the choking hazard warnings, the magnets, the balloons, and so on. You probably have seen those. But they don't have any methodology or review process for nutrition labeling. Now, if you were to get something taken down for being inauthentic or having a safety issue, then they're going to check your labeling. But if you're just putting something up on Amazon and you're just selling it, or you're even adding it as a freebie, no, they're not going to check it. You could theoretically even take apart something that says not for retail sale and sell it on Amazon. And until a customer complains, no one's going to check. So that's part of the fun, and also part of the challenge for anyone who's trying to follow all the rules, because Amazon doesn't enforce all the rules, so it doesn't make it necessary to follow them all the time. Kathy asks, and I also show it as part of the bundle. Yeah, absolutely. Again, until someone complains, you don't have to worry about it. And as long as it's just something like mustard where everyone feels comfortable with that, considering mustard is like zero nutrition and like it's just a flavoring, I doubt that you would have any issues there. So yeah, feel free to show it as part of the bundle. Okay, next question. How many stores can one person or company have under one seller central account? If you're talking about brand stores, that's unlimited, actually. I don't think there is a limitation. If you have more than 10, you do need to contact Amazon, because there's some things that kind of don't work as well if you have more than 10, but there's no limitation. So if you're trying to work with brand owners and you're trying to own the relationship there and help them get set up and help them own their space on Amazon, but you're the brand owner, then yeah, you can have as many as you want. There's no limitation that I know. Okay, if I own a registered trademark in Germany, could I get on the Amazon brand registry in the USA, or do you know if they only allow for US trademarks? Yes, you can get on in USA, you can get on anywhere. Amazon accepts the trademark wherever you are globally for their countries that they're in globally. So they accept China, India, Australia, Canada, Mexico, the United States, the UK, Germany, France, Spain, Italy, and I believe they also accept the Netherlands, but I'm not sure. And of course the EU and Japan. So anywhere where Amazon currently has a presence. Oh, and I think they just added Turkey. So anywhere they've got a legal presence, then you can register with your trademark. Now, the only thing that I would say there is that it will be more difficult for you to enforce your trademark in the US if you don't have a US trademark. Just because you have Amazon brand registry and you have the rights to that name, you don't have the rights to that name in the US yet. So keep that in mind, that Amazon will give you the brand registry. You'll be able to add enhanced brand content. You'll be able to add videos. Like, that's really important and really, really useful. What that doesn't give you is any sort of legal rights to file complaints and violations against other sellers. Okay, next is, when launching a product, is it helpful to launch on Facebook at the same time with a video of the product to help generate more traffic? Is it necessary in the beginning? Yes, it's always helpful to be online. And that's because you can get free traffic from nearly any source, right? So most of our clients, I recommend having a YouTube channel and having all of the videos that they have on Amazon also on YouTube and hashtagged and with detailed meta descriptions on YouTube. And absolutely putting it on Facebook, labeling it on Facebook, the same thing. It's a little bit easier to find YouTube videos than Facebook, but you know, go for it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's not necessary in the beginning, absolutely not necessary. It helps, right? Every little bit helps. So we decided to test this out with a client where we haven't done anything to push the YouTube. It's just one video of their product, the same one that we put on the enhanced brand content. And we gave it a tagged storefront URL so we could see on their storefront what kind of traffic they were getting and if they were getting any sales from it. And we actually did get someone to come on to the storefront within the first week of posting that video. We didn't do any sort of traffic, anything. It's just a brand new video that we put on YouTube, put in hashtags, put in a description, and we already got traffic coming into Amazon. So, you know, any direction that you can get traffic to come in is great. I personally think if you're going to do a video, that YouTube is the place that you need to put it, but make sure you hashtag it. It's going to be easier to find if someone's doing a Google search, and like, you know, 98% of the internet runs on Google. So, okay, I am preparing a US shipment right now. I just have 8 units of similar items, and I'm getting 3 different warehouse locations for shipments. How can I change it to 1 warehouse location or make 3 small packages? Okay, so if you just put in your numbers, if you just put in the numbers for whatever is going on to, you know, you say I'm shipping 8 units, then Amazon will make it easiest for themselves and tell you to ship it to 3 different places. That's easier for them, right? Then they don't have to move throughout the network. It's much easier for them. If you want it to go to 1 place, then you need to case pack it. And what does that mean by case pack? It means that you click to case packed instead of individual unit packed, and then you say how many are in your case. So if you want to ship in 8 items, then you put them into a box that fits 8 items and call it case packed. It's that simple. And then now it'll only go to 1 place. So if you have more than 50 items that you're sending, no, I think it cuts off at 100. In any case, the case packs cut off somewhere. I think it's around 100. Then you'll end up having to do multiple case packs. You'll still end up sending it to multiple locations. But it is easier than trying to manage it on a per unit basis. The other thing that you can do is you can deliberately pay to select it all to 1 location. And that's, I think, 20 cents a unit for placement. But I promise doing case packs is easier and cheaper. Okay, so for, let's see, for the next one, for Lee's question, I have a storefront question. I updated a storefront with info from your class, so cool. Thank you, I appreciate that. However, I am not sure how to use the source tags and the UTM creation. Can you give us some details on this? Can you spell out UTM? I'm not immediately recognizing that, that acronym. So for the source tags, you use those by putting those URLs wherever they need to go. So if you have a YouTube channel, then you would put the new create tag, then you would copy and paste that link into the body of the YouTube channel posting so that people know where to click. Or if you're on Pinterest, then you post it there. Or if you're on Facebook and you've got a picture that you're posting and you put a link to show where people can buy the product. So the all of the tagged sources, you just copy that link and put it wherever you want to for tracking. Email follow-up campaigns is also another one where you would be putting that link. So like if you had a situation where, for example, you had 2 different email campaigns that you were testing, you were trying to figure out whether one got better results than the other in terms of people coming back and buying more from your store, then you would make 2 different source tags. So one of them would be, you know, say you could give it a number, email campaign 1, and the other one represents the email campaign 2. Like in Feedback Genius, it lets you do only the orders that end in even numbers or only the orders that end in odd numbers, or even do more testing than that. And so then you can tag one with one URL and one with the other, and then see which one gets you more sales. Okay, so that's all the different places that you can use them. Can you explain what UTM is so I can answer that one too? And another question from Lee, do you have any information on the new Amazon Live? Yes, very annoying information. The app is only on Apple products. I'm very annoyed by that. I don't like Apple. I only have Android. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, I want to do this. This looks so cool. And then I looked on it and I'm like, you're kidding me. It's only on Apple? That's so annoying. So if you have an Apple product, you can download the app. It's pretty easy to download the app when you're on Apple. And then all you have to do is sign up to do a live. Now, if you are just doing your own live, where it just shows up on the live page, and then it can show up on your storefront after that. If you just do that, that's not too bad. There's a few different things that you can do. You can actually sign up to be featured on Amazon's own channel, so kind of like being on QVC or something like that. Or you can just do a live, and then some people might land on it from the live page. So there's a section where it says all current live videos, and people can go look at it. So I thought it was pretty cool, but if I were you, I would post about it like on social media first, and say that you're going to do a live and do some sort of consistent live thing, kind of like we do, where over time people get to expect that there's a live show and come out with new products or have a cool discount just for the time of the live show. Like there's ways that you can do that to where you can say, here's the promo code just for the time that you're on this show. So you can get the best deals if you come while you're on the live show, right? Then you can kind of get people used to this whole idea of meeting you live and seeing the live show. It's the same concept that any other lives have, except that it's being run on Amazon. And also think of it kind of like QVC Lite, I guess. They're trying anyway. They're trying to compete with everyone. Lee says for the follow-up, I am probably using UTM wrong. It is when we can add a channel to the storefront URL. I'm assuming you just mean creating the source tag, right? Because I think they use the word channel, but all that it is just saying YouTube or something like that. Okay, so any sort of other details or questions that you have about the storefronts, we do have an actual course just on storefronts. We also go into detail on storefronts in our masterclass. And I know Vanessa has been very helpful in our masterclass, always providing so much feedback and so much to work on, but others have too. I know some of you know Vanessa, and she's just fantastic. The reason why she's top of mind is we just covered her storefront this week. So anything that you want to have covered or get direct feedback on, that's what we do in the masterclass. We'll go over it, you have all the background information, and then we actually go over yours and give feedback to your specific storefront, to your specific page, and say, okay, here's what I'd change. All right, there's your research. Okay, then you should move around these bullets, you should do this. Really specific feedback, okay? Yes, Kathy asked, did you see my question about creating custom flavor choices for FBA? Yes, I did see that, and it appears that it's being done with Amazon Custom. If it's being done with FBA, then it sounds like it's a pilot program, some sort of beta, because up to now, it's only been possible to do that through merchant fulfillment. Now, I know that Amazon has been working on a way to create kind of like a master SKU, if you will, where with the master SKU, it knows that these two ASINs belong to it because they have to upgrade the pick software, right? So pick software has one ASIN for one product, right? That's how the pick software works. So they would have had to upgrade the pick software at FBA to equal one ASIN equals two ASINs to pick. That's a pretty big change. So if they're going to do it for FBA, that's a significant change to make. It would probably be easier not to update the pick software. It's probably easier to update downstream software and just turn it into two picks. So someone probably figured out how to do this and they're testing it. So I'm curious to see how it goes because I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea to have FBA do that. There's no reason why they can't. It's just a logistical programming problem to solve. I don't know about that, Lee. I don't know about getting Apple products just for this. I thought about it. I really did. I was like, oh man, it's just for Apple. Maybe I should get an Apple product just for this. I'll put it in the company's name. There'll be a phone. This is dumb. I don't want to do it. I really am anti-Apple. I really hate it. It's a long and drawn out story about Steve Jobs, so I'm not going to get into it. But I'm so annoyed that I can't do the lives. It's so cool. Okay, all right, next question. For PPC campaigns, which one would you recommend doing, keyword targeting or product targeting? And would you suggest doing fixed bids or up-down bids? Great questions. We actually have a class on advertising too. So for keyword bids and product targeting, I absolutely recommend both. You get totally different kinds of results from them. So we have had just phenomenal results from product targeting, just really ridiculous. If you find the right one, you can have amazing results. For one client, for one product, we got over $8,000 in sales in 4 days from one product targeting ad. And we just happened to target the right thing at the right price at the right time. So pretty cool. So there's some really neat things that you can do with product targeting. Also, the individual cost per click is much lower on product targeting versus keyword targeting in many cases. Depends on your keyword. And so test out product targeting, see how it works. Use the Amazon suggestions for now, but don't just stick with that, right? So now some of you have voice of the customer retail analytics. You can go see what the top products are in a particular subcategory. You can then download those ASINs and then target all of those ASINs. Or if you have a particular tool like Scope where you're testing all the top products in a particular category, say you're selling mustard and you want to target sandwiches, just as an example. Then you would go on to Amazon, target sandwiches, download all of the top sandwiches, top 40 or whatever from a particular tool. Then you can target the top 40 sandwiches to sell your mustard. You can also target other mustards to sell your mustard. You can also target ketchup to sell your mustard, right? So you have various ways that you can approach this. The suggestions from Amazon are just kind of automatic. They just do everything. If you're going to be manually choosing the ASINs that you're doing, then you want to do that kind of thought process that I just went through. You want to think about substitutes for your product. You want to think about complements. You want to think about things that are similar to your product. And you want to think about things that you do with your product. So the same concept as automatic matching, where they have substitutes, close match, loose match, and complement. So think about how that works. You know, in mustard, it's easy, right? What are the other mustard packs, right? If you have a mustard pack, any other mustard packs are a substitute. A close match would be a bottle of mustard. A loose match would be something like spicy brown mustard or Dijon mustard or something like that. Something that's also mustard but not quite as close. Horseradish mustard, you know. And then a complement would be sandwiches or ketchup. Okay. So you can do very similar things to that with keywording. You can find those same kind of ASINs and then do reverse lookups to get their keywords. But for product targeting, you're just putting in the ASINs straight, and then you show up in the sponsor brand carousel. For fixed bids or up-down bids, it depends on the situation. If I have a particular client that's very concerned about budget, then I'll always use fixed bids because I don't want it to go over the limit. If I'm trying to get sales, I will go up-down. And most of the time we have a max that we put in, like $3 is the max anyone ever wants to pay. And so then we go dynamic down. In very competitive spaces, we actually go dynamic up-down. Depends on the situation. So for anything in skincare, we do dynamic up-down because skincare is painfully competitive. Okay. For the next question, looking for a reliable prep center, do you have any recommendations? My recommendation is Bridgeway. It's a company out of Illinois, and I really like them. They're not super huge, which is another reason why I like them. A lot of the prep centers and a lot of the shipping centers that are out there are so big that they don't even want to work with small companies. And most Amazon sellers are at this small company kind of level. So for the purposes of a prep center, they work on economies of scale. They need giant warehouses and they need a lot of stuff flowing in and out to be able to make any money. So for something where it's fairly small, or you just need prep, a couple times a month, something like that, a smaller company is going to be better. The reason why I like Bridgeway is two reasons. They're willing to do whatever they need to do for you to solve the problem. So they're very flexible, whatever the need is for you. The second reason is that they are able to keep costs down by hiring adults with disabilities. Now, part of it, you think, okay, so adults with disabilities, that seems like it's like some sort of charitable organization or whatever. No, it's actually because you can hire people with disabilities for ridiculously low amounts per hour because they're already getting disability checks from the government. So to get them out of the house and doing work and not just sitting there doing whatever, like they're contributing to society and so on, employers are allowed to hire people with disabilities for, I don't know what the number is, but it was something like 50 cents an hour. Like it's a ridiculously low amount. So by doing that, Bridgeway can keep their costs extremely competitive, even though they're small and kind of bespoke with their services. So they both do things that are cool, like helping people with disabilities. That is a thing that they're doing, but it also keeps costs down for you. So win-win. And we'll put the link to that. It's B-Way Business, I believe. Okay, next question. Can you please give me the email address to escalate for issues? I still have items inactive due to the pesticide ban. Okay, so for the pesticide ban, the easiest thing for you to do, if you have not done it yet, you will have to escalate in some cases, but for some items, what you can do is you can just resubmit a feed. Have you already resubmitted your feed? The reason why is because the restricted products team reclassifies every time something gets fed back to the system. And for whatever reason, the one-by-one interface, it's not reclassifying it there. But if you submit it through feed, that goes through a whole different system. And so it seems to be reclassifying when they go through the feed. If that doesn't work, then you just need to contact seller support and have them manually push it through, because again, another way that you're uploading the listing. And in nearly every case, we've been able to get the pesticide issue listed, the ban lifted, if you either run a feed or contact seller performance. There have been very few that we have had to actually escalate to a VP. So if you haven't done those two things yet, so first, submit a feed. Second, contact seller support for them to manually push it through for you. Then at that point, then you would need to escalate and then contact us for that help. Okay, Lee says, I heard Amazon is going to allow photos that spin like Walmart does. Yes, I have heard that, Lee. And guess what we have? Woo woo. We have a 360-degree turntable, and we have a guy who knows how to use it and make beautiful 360 images. So we decided to invest in this after that whole thing came out in Q4 last year. And there are vendors who already have 360-degree images. They can upload those. It's probably coming to sellers very soon because they usually will test that on vendors first and bring it out to marketplace brand registered sellers. So we actually are using them right now for storefront videos. So there's a particular storefront video feature called a background video, and it just plays in a loop, and it has to be 8 to 20 seconds. And one of the shortest 360-degree videos is 8 seconds. And so David has been making so many 360-degree videos. And we just put those right up on the storefront for our clients. So yeah, it's fantastic. We're really excited about it. It's actually a lot of effort to get set up, and it's not cheap to get done with an outside firm. So that's why we decided to just do it ourselves. It's been a bit of an investment, especially the learning curve on how to make all this stuff work. So yeah, very exciting. And we're getting set up very shortly to be able to do large items as well. So right now we can mostly only do small items, items that are up to about 2 to 3 feet wide. We're getting set up to do items that are between 6 to 8 feet wide. Now it can only go up to 160 kilograms, so we can't do like furniture or anything like that. But that, 160 kilograms covers a lot of stuff on Amazon, so that's good. Okay, Tony says, if I'm on a shoestring budget, how can I create a source tag from my Amazon storefront to retarget via Facebook or Google? What is more cost-effective and easier for a newbie to learn? Okay, so I think that you're kind of cart before the horse there, because you're not going to be able to retarget an Amazon storefront link on Facebook or Google. That's just not a thing. You need to either have the video on Facebook or the video on YouTube to be able to retarget anybody. So Amazon doesn't give you that kind of data. You can't add a pixel. You can't track customers that way. So what you have to do is you're tracking the effectiveness of the retargeting of the video through the storefront link. So you would put that storefront link there, and then you can see how effective it is at converting. So normally when you have retargeting, it just gives you traffic numbers. And so then you're like, hey, look, I got traffic. Yay, it's cool. But that doesn't tell you what the actual value of your advertising dollars is. So by putting in the advertising dollars, by putting in the money on retargeting and using a storefront tagged URL, then you can see what your actual conversion rate is. So I wouldn't think of the tagged URL as a way to do retargeting. I would think of it as a way to evaluate the success of your retargeting. And for those of you who don't know what retargeting is, basically for Google and for Facebook, anything that happens in your groups or your videos on your page on Facebook, Facebook keeps track of who you are if you interact in a group or if you interact on a video. And so you can actually retarget people who are in a group, or you can retarget people who've watched the videos. Like if you make a cool video about a dog playing with your dog toy that you sell, and it goes viral and a whole bunch of people watch it, then you can actually retarget all the people who watched your dog video with an ad for the cool toy that they saw. And then you can then have them either click to another place to buy it. They can buy it within Facebook, or you can direct them to Amazon to a storefront and see there. So if you don't want to mess around with Facebook sales, it's annoying, by the way. Facebook Marketplace is not effective. It's so difficult to use, and we've had so many problems with catalog errors. It just like drives me crazy. So I personally like to send everything to Amazon. People look at an Amazon URL and they trust it, so it's perfectly safe to use. So you have your Facebook remarketing, you have your ad, and then the learn more click link is your storefront click link. They go straight to it. They see the add to cart button. You have your full width add to cart button on your storefront, and then they can decide to buy it there, right? So that's what I would suggest, is that you have videos that you put up on your storefront, on YouTube or Facebook, and add a pixel there, right? So that you can start tracking. So I believe on YouTube, to do that, you have to have a certain kind of account. I think the only thing that you can do for like embedded YouTube videos, you can add a Google Pixel or a Facebook Pixel onto your website. So often I'll be checking out a website, or I'll be looking at someone who's just contacted us or something like that on, they contact us to ask about services, and I'll go look at their website, and then now I'm getting ads for them on Facebook, right? That's retargeting. Where I landed on their website, they had their Facebook pixel embedded in their website. So now when I go onto Facebook and I'm still using the same browser, I'm going to see all their ads. So if you can do that to where someone lands on your page or they land on your video or so on, then you do the retargeting ads on Facebook or Google, and then the link at the bottom, with link that they're going to click on, takes them to a storefront. That's how you evaluate the usefulness of your retargeting ads. Okay. Next question from Kathy is, can you speak to Gretchen Gruba's issues with listings on multiple platforms going wonky? She's had trouble with the US after listing in EU. Yeah, so here's the weird thing about cross-platform listings. I don't recommend using the same ASINs, and here's the reason why. Amazon set all these platforms up as individual locations from a software and cloud computing perspective. So there's North America, and North America is Canada, US, Mexico, and Brazil, because that makes sense. But that's the North America stack. It's based out of Virginia and Bend, Oregon. Oh, and Japan. So Japan is also on the same stack. At some point maybe that'll change, but for now that's how it's done. Then China is on its own stack, and Australia, I'm pretty sure, is on Japan's stack, which is housed in the US. But you can get some confusing stuff happening between Japan and Australia. Then EU has their own stack, and I believe Turkey was added to the EU stack, as is India, which I can guarantee you that everyone who was working on India and being classified as Europe got pretty ticked about. So if you have an ASIN in EU, then totally cool to use it in India, not a problem. If you have an ASIN in Japan, use it in Australia, not a problem. ASINs in North America, they talk to each other, it's fine. I actually don't recommend cross region. So Amazon calls them regions. The regions make no sense, but they call them regions. I don't recommend cross region ASINs because Amazon systems are not really good at handling that. They don't really talk to each other very well. So I personally would suggest just killing any ASINs in the EU that are the same ASINs that are in North America, and just create new ASINs in EU. It's just going to be so much easier for you because of the difference in the way that the platforms talk to each other. So North America have the same ASIN, that totally works. EU have a separate ASIN for the same product. Australia and Japan have a separate ASIN. India, totally cool for EU because apparently they decided to put all this together, which of course is super fun. No colonial flashbacks there. Lee said, I knew you would know about this. I have 360 photos that I want to post. Yeah, I don't know when it'll start, but you can put it on the storefront already as long as it's a video format and not HTML format, you can put it on the storefront already as a background video. Yes, we actually do have some examples of 360 video you can see, and I will ping David to post that in the group so you guys can see it. Actually, so what I did, Christina, because we do have NDAs with all of our clients and we're pretty careful at what we can post, I actually had David do a 360-degree video of the socks we gave out to clients like a year and a half ago or so. We made some socks. They're awesome socks. I think they're awesome. But we made some socks for client gifts, and so I had him do that one. So we have that as an example. So when you see the sock, you'll understand why I think it's awesome. What about copying listings? The easiest thing to do there is to get a category listing report from Amazon. So file a ticket there in US, and file a ticket to seller support saying I'd like category listing report enabled. Then they'll enable it for 7 days. You go download your category listing report, which is basically a download in the format of a flat file. Then you take out the ASIN and you change your UPC to an EAN or something else like that. It depends on if you've got brand registry and if you're doing the exempt thing. And then you go and you upload it in Europe. So it's no different than any other new upload process. You don't need anyone to help you with it. It's just download it from the US, change out your unique identifier, and re-upload in Europe. Okay. And then the ASIN and the FN SKU will be new for the EU. Yes, exactly. which is annoying from a functional standpoint, but I can promise you that having Amazon break your listings every other week is much more annoying. Okay, next question. We are launching a product and our goods are being shipped from China. I just noticed that my supplier has listed the exact same product he shipped to me, and it's listed at 50% less than my price point. What do you suggest I do in this situation? Okay, first question, are you buying something off the shelf? Because if you're buying something off the shelf, then that's just, sorry. If you didn't make any changes, then of course your supplier is going to list the same thing because it's actually their product, not yours. For anything that you've done that's custom and you're trying to figure out why someone would be listing your custom item on Amazon instead of you, my question there is, did you sign a non-compete or an NDA with them? All of our POs, all the POs that we create have a tab that has the confidentiality and non-compete agreement. Now it's not something that they're really going to go with, but if you go in there and you say, hey, this is my thing, I have an innovation here, I want to build a long-term relationship with you, and what you're agreeing to is to not sell my product. Most of the time they'll adhere to that if they want to continue working with you. So for something where the factory has already decided that you're not worth working with anymore, as is evidenced by the fact that they've already listed the same product they sold to you on Amazon, there's not much you can do, because if you haven't made it custom, if there's no patent, if there's no nothing, like if you don't have a Chinese patent, not a US patent, you can kick them out of the US, but they'll still be able to produce it and cause problems for you. That's where it comes in, right? So if they don't care already, they're not going to care, right? So it really depends on how custom it is. It depends on if you have intellectual property rights that you can enforce. It depends on if they believe that they can have a long-term relationship with you. Another thing is, long-term relationships aren't just about money. A lot of people here have this idea that by spending more money, they're going to get more from their suppliers. Can't tell you how many times it's been really annoying where we have been working with a supplier or a client and they're talking to their supplier and they're so pushy and rude. Being pushy and rude might get you an immediate kind of, the keto result, right? Kick in the ass, but the person who's doing it won't want to deal with you again. They just want to get it out, get paid, and then never talk to you again, never deal with you again. So if you come into this thinking that you're something special because you're selling on Amazon, you're not, absolutely not. Even when we were starting at Amazon 3 years in, we were selling, a few $1 million a year of this particular company's cords, and we accounted for almost 40% of their business. The fact is, they knew that they could get a replacement for us just like that. So even 40% of their business, when we started pushing on some of their quality issues, they pushed back and didn't want to keep working with us. And that's Amazon, 40% of their business. If you are some random person who's maybe 0.5% of their total business, they don't care about you, and being mean to them to try to get results is not going to get the result you're hoping for. I can promise that. Kathy asked, is there a tutorial on downloading and uploading listing details per chance? Very intimidating with all the fields. Yeah. So you wouldn't need to change any fields except for the unique identifiers. No, we don't have a tutorial. The reason why is because things can be so wonky per category. So what I usually recommend is doing the upload, trying it to see if it'll work yourself, and then if it doesn't, calling Amazon, because then they'll go fix it for you and upload. It's much easier than trying to conquer that spreadsheet. It's a horrible spreadsheet. Okay, last question, unless someone pops something into the chat. I am wanting to sell in the US and Canada marketplaces. Can I use the same GS1 UPC in both marketplaces, or do I need a separate one for each market? My products are identical without color or size difference importing from China. Yes, US and Canada, go for it. Use the same GS1, not a problem. I do think that if you're going into Europe, then you'll want to do something different, a different identifier. First of all, the rules in Europe are different, so you should be selling a different product in Europe. So if you're not, then you may actually be selling something that's illegal to sell in Europe. Europe has much stricter chemical regulations, much stricter heavy metals regulations than we do here, and different labeling requirements. And so you probably want to have a different UPC anyway to make sure that it's compliant to sell in the EU versus North America, where you can just label it in English, French, and Spanish. And mostly it's similar between Canada, US, and Mexico. There's been a lot of harmonization of standards and stuff to make it easier to do cross-border trade. So for North America, it's totally fine. For Europe, I personally would do a different UPC or EAN anyway, because your product should be different. Amazon produced different production runs for Europe and for the US. There were different production lines even. because the materials used had to be different. So check with your supplier. If you are doing the EU, check with your supplier that it's actually EU compliant. They may say, oh, okay, I thought you didn't want the special components. And then you're like, special, I told you it was going to EU. Yeah, those are fun conversations. Okay, that's all the questions that I have to go over. So unless you get those in real super quick, then we'll be done for today. It was a long day, lots of questions today. Thank you guys. All right, so thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed the Q&A, please like the video. Really appreciate it. Love the likes. Right now I feel like some sort of YouTuber. Like and subscribe. And if you know anyone who can use the information that we're providing here, please feel free to invite them or share the video. And you can just do that pretty easily by just sharing on the right-hand side. If you think that they could use this ongoing, then feel free to invite them to join the group. More the merrier. Okay, so join us again next week for the next Ask Cascadia Live, and looking forward to talking to you guys and hearing from you and all your questions next week. All right, thanks everybody.